Alright, can we end off with a purple today? Today in the Dolo game, we begin, well, we return to Fasani's Nightmare because we're already 1000 KC under our belt, and as you can see, we have full Inquisitors and even the Inquisitor's Mace in our inventory. Let's take a look at the collection log real quick. We're missing Little Nightmare, the Volatile Orb, and the Eldritch Orb. Now we could do with another Nightmare Staff, 3 orbs, 3 staves would be nice, and another set for 416 Hero standing right next to us would be nice as well. Now for 416 Hero, we're in our Robe of the Eye set, and we're going to continue our road to max on that account by doing some soul rune crafting on Zaya. Without wasting any time, we're heading to Fasani's now. Now it's been a good bit since I've last been to Fasani's, and Fasani's is definitely one of the harder endgame solo bosses. Next to probably Doom, so yeah, this could be pretty rough. Let's see how it goes. Done with Doom? Yes. Unexpected, but we are done with Doom. Yeah, game audio is always a little weird. Like some places, they're just so much louder than others. And I think Fasani's is one of those where it's like really loud for some reason. Okay. Nobody is gonna believe me, but I swear I lagged on that first KC. Okay, now this is the real first KC of the day. Let's get our thralls going too. I don't even know if I had that going on that first one. So on my way here, I made the realization. Since I've hit 200 mil strength, I've began training my attack here and there. But if I'm using the scythe here, I don't really have that option to do so, because I definitely want it on crush. But the crush option on the scythe is exclusively for strength. Okay, it's definitely going to be a lot harder to multitask. What if we get a drop right now? But yeah, we were doing Mocha, but plans have changed. RNG's going to RNG. You never really know how it's going to play out, and some crazy stuff happened. So now we're moving on from Doom. Let's just get the planking out the way nice and early, right? That first plank, and then never again for the rest of the session. Surely. I don't quite remember how many switches I need to do to one-hit the... what is it called? The Parasite. With the Inquisitor Mace. Because obviously I don't have a ham joint. Do people take poppers now? Honestly, I have no idea. Oh, that was scary. Couple more swings. And first KC of the day of the session, we get uncut emeralds. So that first KC was about 5 minutes and 41 seconds. We can probably expect to be a little bit faster as we get more comfortable with the boss once again, more re-familiarized with it, I guess, is the wording. Maybe closer to 5 minutes. So we can expect, including banking time, probably 9 to 10 KC an hour. And off the top of my head from the previous grind, I think we can expect to see a drop every 1 in 113 KC. So yeah, it shouldn't be too bad of a grind. Hopefully it's going to be fun. Can't expect it to go like Doom did previously, but hopefully we do see some drops. It was actually easier to play the alts while I was at Doom, because you could just click whatever you need to in between each delve. I actually have no idea how much Fasani's we're gonna do. We did start at 1k KC. How long would it take for us to get another 1k? Probably way too long. We probably won't be doing the grind that long. We'll probably find like a arbitrary nice round number to end on or something, but another 1000 is probably too long of a grind, unless I just like really get into the groove here or something. Hit a full claw specs, and this is why I wish I had a Void Waker. Scythe is very strong though, obviously. And second KC. Oh. What is going on? I got so confused there. Like, I got very briefly baited by the Blood Rune loot beam. And then I started seeing the collection log pop up, and I'm like, what? 2KC back at Fasani's Nightmare, a 6-minute flat fight. Do I have the parasitic egg? I have like 5 of those. Let's take a look at the collection log right now. I have 8 of those, actually. Well, what a start to Fasani's Nightmare. Little Nightmare doing Fasani's Nightmare in particular is a drop rate of 1 in 1,400. And for us, this is great because we have 8 parasitic eggs in our collection log. So I think we just go ahead and use the egg, right, on the pet. You feed the egg to Little Nightmare, it starts to change. Boom! Okay, now we can just change it whenever we want. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Alright, let's get back to it though. We just started the grind. I think even though the claws aren't very accurate, it's probably still the next best thing outside of the Void Waker. I think the Eye of Ayak or something is like just as good or very comparable. But it's shorter range, so I still like using the shadow more. Or whatever the case may be now, I'm actually not entirely sure. I ran out of bluefins, or actually I think I still have some bluefins on the other account. They would be good in this situation. We gotta be careful too, actually. Oh! Speaking of which. Oh, tanked. Oh my god. Brain's not working. As I was saying, or as I was thinking, and I didn't even get to my thought, is that in Enrage phase, if we proc Redemption, we're kind of cooked. We have 1 Redemption. See, this is where bringing the Sandfew would also help. This might be a TP angle. Yeah. Because now we can't even proc Redemption. Alright, here we go, another KC. Now, I was logged on to 3 accounts at once here, but I've since logged out from one of those. I was just thinking, you know, I've always compared Doom and Fasani's to a similar level of difficulty. They're both endgame solo bosses. But in terms of multitasking, as we get a bunch of prayer potions here, I think Fasani's is much more difficult to do that. So I guess in that context, Fasani's is the more difficult one? I don't know. Let me know your opinion, whether you think Fasani's is more difficult or Doom. Well, pet aside, I'm actually off to a rough start here. Just doing silly little things, not paying enough attention. Very punishing boss when you're not paying attention, wouldn't you know it? Also, last KC I did have to TP out midway through because I forgot the Relisum spawns. Very important to deal with the parasites. So just wasted a bunch of Scythe charges, Shadow charges, and prayer doses. So as we continue to work on more Fasani's KC here, let's talk about our spec weapon. Yes, we are using Dragon Claws. No, we don't have a Void Waker. Long-term viewers will know why that is the case. It is what it is, and it does suck a little bit because I've always said that before I return to Fasani's, I would like to get my hands on a Void Waker. But going dry on something like that, and just general frustration around a certain grind, I mean, it's a grind that luckily I can actually avoid and do content without getting a Void Waker. So instead of just, oh, let's try not to die here. But yeah, instead of waiting around and waiting for me to unburn from the Void Waker grind and go back, I figured I might as well just start doing content that I've been putting off, essentially. So here we are. KC 1018, we get ourselves an Inquisitor's Halberg. And some magic logs to go with it. That is our 3rd one on the account, so unless we create a 3rd GIM account, unfortunately, that is not a dupe we want to see, even for us. But, you know what, I'll take it. Our RNG has been absolutely insane. Just 16 KC ago, we got the pet, so yeah, nice to see something. Nice to see something. Let's keep going. Alright, here comes the obligatory back-to-back attempt. Let's see if our recent run of good RNG can continue. And moment of truth. Here we go. Here we go. We get 69 adamant ore. Nice. Between this grind and the previous grind, we've utilized the trawling fish. Right now we're using marlins, and previously at Doom we used bluefins. I do need to get back to trawling, and every time I say I'm going to do trawling, I only end up doing a little bit, but I really could do with just a massive trawling session, get myself thousands of fish, because these things really are really good to use. These marlins heal for 24 each, on top of the fact that if you break them down, they are used to make extended stamina potions. Really useful for situations like solo CMs. Took a little bit of a break for lunch, but first, KC, after coming back, we get steel cannonballs, okay? Well, I just had to TP out of a KC. That would have made 40 on the day, but I decided that one was going to be my last KC because, well, I was just mentally checking out. And all the more apparent because I couldn't even finish the KC. I definitely had the TP out there. At least I saved myself 60k GP, I guess, right? Well, with that being said, I will be calling it for day 1 here. We're going to do, I don't know how many more days, but Fasani's in general has been fun, but just done way too many today. Apparently my previous day PB was 60 KC in a day, and looking back on it, I have no idea how I managed to do that. That is way too much Fasanis, because today doing 39, this felt like an insane amount of Fasanis. So yeah, we will continue the grind tomorrow or whatever other day I log in. To start off day 2 of Fasanis, turns out I was very, very low on fire runes, so I'm out here at the Wizards Guild, just purchasing a couple of packs of fire runes, and we don't need too many. We're up to 6,000 now. I think we should be good to go. Let's get our fish out for our food, and let's head in for our first KC of the day. And into the enraged phase we go for the first KC of day number 2. Let's get redemption on just in case. But honestly, all things considered, this has been a very smooth first KC of the day. Will we be rewarded? Let's find out. And here we go. With some mithril ore. This is going to sound like a crazy statement, but we're actually pretty early on into the grind right now, being at 1046 Fasani's Nightmare KC. Obviously, it's skewed because we are admittedly quite spooned here at Fasani's, but with the Volatile and the Eldritch Orb still missing, it could quite literally be thousands upon thousands of KC until we finish out the green log here, because getting those items specifically and not any of the other items could take a good bit. So with that being said, I might consider main-handing the Inquisitor's Mace instead of using the Scythe long term. Right now I'm still happy using the Scythe of Bitter though, and it is the best in-slot weapon for me to use with the combination of gear that I do have. But the Inquisitor's Mace is obviously 0 cost, whereas the Scythe can get very expensive with the Vials of Blood and the Blood Runes. My issue in particular is always going to be the Blood Runes. I do a lot of Theater of Blood, so I actually have a ton of those vials sitting around. But yeah, just something to consider in the long term, and it actually is better for my inventory space. I do bring the mace anyways because I don't have a ham joint. I have done easy clues, just haven't had my hands on one yet. Oh my god. We're 11 out of 12. We are 11 out of 12, boys. Just like that. 1057 KC and 8 Nightmare KC. There we go. Look at this collection log. Volatile Orb. The only one remains is the Eldritch. So as we know, we do have a second Nightmare Staff. So let's go ahead and put this Volatile on the Nightmare Staff right now. We can take it off anytime we want if we so choose to, but you know what? Along the way, getting the Eldritch Orb for the green log, I do hope we get a Nightmare Staff. I really do. That way, we get the nice aesthetic in the bank where we can just have all 3 staves in the bank like I do with the Karases here with 4 Karases. Honestly, this is purely aesthetic because I don't really use any of these except for the yellow gem. I do bring maybe the red one in mass TOAs, but same thing with the God Swords. I am missing the next one, the Ancient God Sword. But again, the only 2 I really make use of is the Bandos God Sword and the... Actually, that's not true. The God Swords have more uses these days, but the Armadyl God Sword's definitely more of a PvP one. But yeah, let's continue. Let's see if we can get the back-to-back. Between the Doom RNG and now the Return RNG, the Fasanis, whenever I do get the drops, I don't know how to react. I'm just genuinely surprised, genuinely shocked. It's like, what is going on right now? Obligatory back-to-back attempt, but it's into Bass. Inquisitor's Plate Skirt, 1062 KC. Let me pick that bad boy up, and 25 Runite, or for good measure. This is not long afterwards since the Volatile Orb. That is our second Inquisitor's Plate Skirt, which, you know, for a solo Ironman, that would be sad news actually, but for us, that is off the 416 hero. Now, as I said earlier, if we can get our hands on another Nightmare Staff before the Eldritch Orb, that'd be great. But also, at this point, since we're just 1 away from the set, if we can get our hands on another Inquisitor's Great Helm, that would also be fantastic. Well, I just died on the back-to-back attempt. Let's collect our stuff, and maybe we'll even go straight back in there, because that was actually very early on. Just kidding, when you claim your loot, your inventory becomes an absolute mess. It's honestly quicker if I hit the bank. That was only our first death of day number 2 here, so honestly not too bad compared to day 1. Let alone, you know, obviously I could die 5 times more consecutively right now, and I'd still be pretty happy with all the drops we've gotten. Alright, I don't know if it still counts as a back-to-back attempt if we've died in between, but let's see what happens here. This KC was a bit rough. If you take a look at my inventory, I'm completely out of food, and I'm actually pretty low on prayer, more so than usual too, so... We still get through it though. Let's see if we can get anything. Some sharks. Well, they knew I needed food. Still going strong on day number 2 right now. 1086 total KC. For funsies here, let's take a look at this scoreboard. How many times have I planked here? 145 times. Honestly, a lot of the deaths are from the way earlier days when I was first learning the boss, but I still do rack up a good amount of deaths here. Like, I think I've died at least 6 times today, I'm not gonna lie. Day number 2, we have done well over 50 KC. Well, I think anyways. Definitely over 50. Last one on the day because we've been on the struggle bus for the last little bit here. Let's see if we can close out the day on a drop. Although, you know how the RNG has been lately. Magic logs. Alright. Alright, here we are, 3rd day at Fasani's. Started a little bit later than usual than I wanted to. Think I might be getting sick, unfortunately, but not sick enough to not do Fasani's. Let's go ahead and turn down the volume a little bit. Things at Fasani's are always just obnoxiously loud compared to other parts of the game. Actually, that is a problem across a lot of different bosses and pieces of content. There's just certain pieces of content that are just obnoxiously loud. For no reason. One thing that comes to mind is Ice Demon in Chambers. That room is just so much louder than any other room. As we get started here, I realized I forgot to swap the runes in my rune pouch. I did do a little bit of Theater of Blood last night, and I was freezing, so I got freeze runes in the pouch. I did remember to swap spellbooks, but not the runes. First KC of the day. Can we start out strong? Runite ore, you know what? That's pretty good. It's worth like 200k. Alright, thanks to the big session we had yesterday, we are already up to 1100 KC right now, working on it anyways. Let's see if we can get a nice drop at a nice clean number. Although we're currently fighting for our life right now. Gotta eat a marlin real quick. And let's see what we get. 1100 KC. Some cosmic runes, which are actually always nice. Means I don't have to buy them. Obviously, these cosmic runes are always used for thralls, which is the main means of consumption, and then there's also jewelry enchanting on the rare occasion. We're still on day number 3 here, and it's been pretty uneventful, except what just happened. I just logged back in. Apparently I got 6-hour logged. Now, typically I do log out, take my breaks and stuff, but today I guess I just never logged out. So that kind of sucked. I was like halfway through a KC. Anyways, we are currently at KC number 1132, and the collection log looks exactly the same. Can't really complain though, considering the previous days we had. In other news, my shadow is running incredibly low on charges. We have 365 remaining. We're gonna have to buy a lot more chaos runes. Alright, we're gonna have to wrap up day number 3 here. Let's see if we can finish out strong. Again, nothing for the day, but we can't really be expecting much. Huge scythe swing to close it out. And for the road, we are getting uncut rubies. After a nice Fasani session, it's nice to sail out to the open seas and do a bit of bluefin trawling. And while we're catching bluefins, we do get the occasional marlin. Now you can see right here, my boat is not the rosewood tier, so it isn't quite fast enough to keep up with the marlin shoals. So instead we're here at the bluefins. Although it is possible to catch marlins, it's just not as convenient and not as laid back. Here we are to start off day number 4. We're going to put about 4,000 and some change shadow charges into, well, the Tumican shadow. And here we go, first KC of the day. Ironically enough, I'm always a little bit more concerned as to how I'm going to get through the first KC of the day, but more times than not lately, it feels like the KC actually is probably one of the smoother KCs of the day. I guess I'm just well aware of it, so I'm a little bit more locked in, actively paying attention. Let's see if we can start off strong with an item today, some sort of drop. And we are getting Catentine. We're currently up to 1145 KC now, and we have a total of 11 drops, excluding the pet and the Jar of Dreams and the Parasitic Egg, because those are actually on a separate part of the drop table, I do believe. But seeing any of the Inquisitor's pieces, including the weapon, the staves, and the orbs, you're expected to see a drop every 113 KC. So if we take our KC number 1145, divide by 113, we should be seeing about 10.1 drops right now. Being that we have 11 drops, we are lucky, but I thought I was way luckier than that, but I guess, we're kind of deserved just a little on the lucky side. Now, what is lucky, obviously, is the fact that we're only missing one collection log item. But we've definitely been earning the number of drops we've gotten. Another day here at Fasani's. Unfortunately, though, it's been pretty uneventful, but we're working on 45 KC of the day, and that's a lot of KC. I'm pretty much tapped out for the day, so let's see if we can end today on a good note. Redemption goes off, one more swing, and we get some Zamorak brews, in which I don't believe I have any use for, but since I'm a loot goblin, I'm picking them up anyways. And so begins another day at Fasani's. I probably have a couple more days in me, but anyways, the starting KC is 1180. First of the day, let's see what we're gonna get. The Thrall KO into some rune arrows. We got a lot of those yesterday. Already a few hours under our belt today here at Fasani's, and we're working on KC 1200. At this point, it's been nearly 140 KC since our last drop, so it does feel a little bad in that regard. Let's see if we can remedy that problem right here with a Ceradomin brew drop. Been seeing a few of those today, but yeah, 1200 KC. No! Yes, but no. We get another drop here on KC 1203. Inquisitor's Halberg. That is going to be our fourth one unfortunately. You know what? At this point, maybe let's just get a 5th one, and then we'll supply a full 5-man Gim team. How about that? KC 1225, we get some nature runes. That's going to be the last of the day. I believe we're on day number 5. I plan on doing, or is it day number 6? Honestly, at this point, I've lost count. But I do plan on doing one more day, and then we're going to be transitioning to another grind. I'm thinking TOA right now, but I'm not too sure just yet. To end off on the day, I decided I wanted to get a solo CM in just for fun. It's something I always enjoy, and constantly doing nothing but Fasanis was a bit draining. So I was like, you know what? To end off the stream for the day, I was going to do some solo CMs. Now, I was tempted into doing speedrun strats, even though it's been a fair bit since my last solo CM session, and things like the tightrope skip, I'm, a bit rusty on that, to say the least. I don't feel like I messed that up, but like I said, haven't done this in a while, so let's find out. Looks good to me right now. Oh no. I'm dead. Alright, let's just do a regular run. Let's just do a regular run. Okay, so what threw me off there? I mean, the mistake was just misclicking, but what threw... Easy. Wait, nope. Oh, we're dead. What? I guess I can't do this anymore. Oh, I should have followed the ranger. No. Yeah, it would hit me for 26. So, 4 raids in a row where Tecton second hammer misses, huh? It's like I got weaker after hitting 200 mil strength. Now, let's not die in Vanguards this time. Watch, it's gonna dig. Oh, I didn't dig the Thrall KO. Let's go. This wasn't a great run anyways, right? But imagine you're pacing and then the ZGS just misses. So note to self, I need to make more extended staminas. We have 800 charges in our shadow. Definitely gonna have to recharge that before tomorrow's Fasani session. Alright, can we end off with a purple today? Oh, no! Hello? Hello? Bro, what? No way. No way. Yo. What are the odds? Let's take this bad boy out real quick. Let's take a look at the collection log. As our second Tebow on the account, obviously, as we're using one right now. Honestly, like, we were due for the Tebow. I mean, if you look at this log, we were due the Tebow. But the thing is, I didn't even plan on doing any chambers today. We've been on our Fasani's grind. We're on day number 5 or 6 of the Fasani's grind. And just out of the blue, like in the last hour, I was like, you know what? Instead of ending the stream, let's just run a raid, right? And to top it off, for some reason, even though I haven't done chambers in a while, I was like, I'm gonna do the speedrun tech. Because, maybe we'll get lucky and, get a good time. But, we were a little bit rusty on that. We failed the tightrope skip a couple times. We even died to Vanguards. And then also, all in all, the RNG was just not in favor. But we wanted one completion. My stubbornness did not let me end the stream and get off the game for the day without one completion. And here we are. The one completion that I wanted to get done before we log out. And we get the Twisted Bow. Oh, man. So, with this being done now, with Twisted Bow, we have 2 Twisted Bows, we have 2 Scythe of Vitters, and we have 2 Shadows, which means our 50 defense account for 16 hero now has its own set of mega rare weapons.